What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another review video. We're going to talk about the Striker combat pants from UF Pro. I also have the combat top. Today we're going to focus on the pants because I got enough tops. We'll talk about those later. So let's just be honest up front. I already reviewed their regular, I think, G3 pants. All right, they're a little bit heavier. They've got a wind stopper liner you can put in there, and a lot tougher, right? But they're not as breathable. That was my main complaint. But we got to throw out the disclaimer. These pants are expensive, right? All this technical clothing is very expensive. So if you wouldn't spend more than $100 on pants, this video is not going to be for you. We're going to start off that way, right? So would I buy these pants? If I had the extra cash and I knew that they were pretty good, I would invest in them. Those other variables aside, most likely not, right? So just be forewarned with that. So you should go back and watch the G3 video because that's going to cover most of the applications of these pants. All right, these are not really field pants. They're not grunt going into the field, crawling through thick rough vegetation, you know, for weeks and months and over the years. Like, these will get destroyed. These are kind of like tactical pants, right? So the CQB stuff is all people care about these days. It's what the internet's looking at. I have been playing with these for over a year, and we've put them through some pretty serious abuse. So we've done 2 FTXs in them. We've done swamps. We've done this mountain environment. We've done a bunch of rucks, and we just did a freaking 90-degree hike climbing up some pretty brutal mountains with Coleman Outdoors. Like, that dude's freaking tough, man. Go check him out. The only backpacker I trust to hang out with my dudes. So we have worn this a lot. We've put it through some abuse, and I haven't destroyed it yet. So let's talk about the things I like about the pants. Number one, they're the lightest freaking tactical outdoor pants I've ever worn. So doing a hike in them and 90-degree weather, just blaring sun, freaking nice and breathable. You got these extra vents you can open up. Not much, but it gives you a little bit of extra breathability. Couple rucks I've done where it's blazing hot, my pockets are empty, you know, that loses your breathability. I'll go ahead and open up this side pocket, so that helps a little bit. And then you see there's my gloves, right? So that would not be a good idea when you got stuff in your pockets. But typically if I'm rucking, I'm not putting extra crap in here. It's just like for patrols, I'll have a map or gloves in there. All right, so you got that extra breathability. That's cool. So that's why I call these not field pants. So the butt is the major problem. This is all super breathable mesh. They got rid of the pockets. So I like on the Gen 3, they gave you pockets. They were zippered pockets. So I don't always use back pockets, but I like to have that option, right? So companies that do that is pretty cool. However, these have no pocket. They just don't want to have any extra material on there. So this light breathable mesh, it helps big time. But you know, a lot of times grunts, when we're going down steep terrain, we got to sit on our butts and slide down there. We're like top heavy. Certain areas, gravel, loose terrain, if you're trying to just walk down that, even if you're sidestepping, you know, you might slip and tumble forward. So we typically just sit down and grind down on our butt. That's a no-go in these, all right? Another problem, because the material is so light, thin, and breathable, like going through the swamps in these, you're hitting sticker brushes. There's vines with stickers on them that are like vertical that you don't see till you hit them, especially at night. They will go right through these, all right? So even your BDU pants, those are pretty tough, but if you get into those really thick, thorny freaking bushes, you'll get kind of torn up in them. These for sure, and they will shred these pants. So that's another reason I don't call them field pants, all right? So you got to think about the situation and what you're doing, and you got to consider the tool. Are these the right tool to be running around the field in? Probably not. I've been doing it anyway to test them, but I haven't destroyed them, right? I'm just saying, if you go through really thick, sharp stuff, you're going to get tore up. Another thing, because the material's so light, you know, we got the skeeters and gnats are out, and they're brutal right now. So mosquitoes will bite through this thin material, right? So you're not really protected from, especially those big old southern freaking monsters. You're not really protected from. That's kind of a bummer. But as far as things crawling up your pants, they give you this added feature. What I don't like about these tactical pants is they put this little cinching thing on there. So that's designed to keep your pants down. You just clip that onto your freaking shoestring and the pants won't ride up, right? It's kind of cool. But the problem is, when we're deep in the woods, unless you want stuff crawling up your pants, you're going to be blousing your pants into your boots. That's like the best freaking protection you can get. So you got your socks as a layer, you've got this down in there, and that's an extra layer of protection, so things will just crawl on up your leg. But at least they're not going to crawl up inside your pants, and you know, ticks love this area for some reason. So do the leeches. All right, but they did add this feature to these. This is pretty cool. So gotta kind of, let's expose some stuff. So there's this very light, breathable material right here. This should not be exposed, you'll destroy it. And it comes right up to about this stitch point, right? So that's kind of cool, because with the bugs and things crawling up our pants, you tuck this down. I've got it tucked down to about here. Doesn't bother me at all being bloused into the boots. And then you just pull that down, and now you've at least got some protection. So if something crawls up in here, it's gonna get stuck about here. That's pretty cool feature, you know. So they kind of mitigated that stupid hook where you can't tuck your boots in at all. Now, if I was going into the swamps in the summer, I'm most likely going to end up cutting this stupid clip off so I can actually blouse all of the pants into the boots, all right? Because deep woods, swamps, it's bad. We'll just say that. I haven't done a video on mitigating bugs and pests in the field, chemical free. If you want to go check that out, that helps. All these field and tactical pants, they should have horizontal pockets. That's like, should be mandatory, because if you just sit down in the field, if you don't have like your keys or your chapstick or your lighter pushed all the way down, you got this slanted pocket, stuff's just gonna fall out. With these horizontals, that doesn't happen. All right, so you see where I have my knife? That's a strange place, but at least here it doesn't get ripped off, and it's not gonna open right there. That's important for me in the field. You got little tie down points here for securing like your keys or whatever. And then the belt. This was my introduction to pants like this. I did not like the belt at first. It's flimsy, and I didn't think it would hold anything. But it turns out it's actually very comfortable. So if you think about it in summertime, I don't do the gun belt stuff. Even if I'm going to a flat range, I'm like this, right? That's how I do just ranges. But for that and for field use, you know, this belt stops right about here. All right, so if you need stuff on a belt all the way around, you're gonna have to wear a belt over this, which is not bad because they do give you belt loops. So they're nice and thick, and you can wear a real belt. So that's pretty cool that they think about you. With that being said, since we're on the back side, you've got padding right here. It's not gel that's gonna explode. It's kind of like this foam membrane material. Kind of looks like a honeycomb. Super light, breathable, but it gives you just a little bit of padding here, which is important because you want this to ride up a little bit high. And then when you are mounting things onto this belt, like I've got my pistol on there, and I will fill this up with all kinds of crap, well, now, you know, when you cinch this thing down to where it will stay up, at least you're not pinching your back or anything back there. So if I'm rucking, like with the Crossfire, basically any ruck with a pad that sits there, that gives you some extra padding. The Alice ruck, your pad will sit right there, and you're not getting rubbing directly on there. So pretty much all of your belt systems and stuff, it's good to have that padding back there. And I think you can remove their belt system. I'm pretty sure. I haven't tried it yet, but I don't know. Go look it up. One issue, this is my issue with the European pants. You should wear your pants up high, especially if you've got things hanging off of them. You don't want your pants to be dangling down. So what that does is all these European pants, I'm not going to judge, but the crotch is always too small. So I've been able to deal with these, the Gen 3 or G3 pants. I just felt choked in here, right? It kind of sucks. Another issue with that is, so I'm not going to pull anything out, the zipper could be longer and go down, because if you think about, you know, you're peeing in the field, you've got your pants hiked up, it's already a pretty small crotch area. Well, now you're like peeing at an angle, you're wrapped around there. So what happens, guys? You think you're done, drips, 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 you put it back in there because you had this curve in there, you can't fight gravity. Well, now you're freaking getting extra drops in there. Like, who cares? You're in the field, you're doing grunt stuff, but that's kind of pain in the ass. So I always find that when I'm going to pee in the field, I gotta put my pants down as low as possible and pull that crotch down. And so, come on, man, just freaking give us a larger crotch area and freaking put a zipper farther down. So that's just one of the little silly complaints I have. So as far as pockets go, you know, again, these are tactical pants and they're for hot weather. So you don't want a whole bunch of pockets. The G3 pants are insane. There's pockets on top of pockets everywhere. I'm still finding pockets, right? I'm up to like 17 now. So really all you want here is a cargo pocket. That's really the max you want. So they give you 2 entrances, so from the top or the side. Get my gloves out of the way. And you've got plenty of little retention, flexible retention in there. So I think there's 3. So we got 1, 2, 3. All right, so the first 2 will hold magazines. I've actually put them in there like on ranges. I filled these pockets up. Despite these pants being super loose, didn't really bother me moving around. This loop right here has been holding my 9mm magazines perfectly, and I did do some reloads with that, with the button closed. So if you want to get some really good realistic training, do some reloads from that pocket, grabbing your mag pouch from right there. Have fun with that one, guys. I do like that these are zippers, right? Those should be easy access. I'm not going to be using that a whole bunch. We're typically using these, and I love that they're buttons. That's freaking outstanding. I can easily replace buttons if I need to. I don't know how to replace a zipper, sorry. This is a cool feature. A lot of times when we're in the field, if you don't have just a random pouch to be able to throw stuff into, you know, we're using different optics, different tools in the field. We got to put something away real quick, but we're going to grab it again 5 minutes later. With the BDUs and a pistol belt, we should just throw stuff down our blouse. So you'd see, guys, they look like I had a big old gut, but they had gloves and optics and just maps and junk up in their blouse, and their blouse was closed where their pistol belt was. So kind of with the same logic here is, you know, if I take my gloves off to do some map stuff or some intricate work, or I just want to be barehanded, I just throw them in here, and I don't have to worry about screwing with these buttons because they give you a little shock cord right there. So pull it up. You can tighten it. So you can pull this tighter on either end. And now you have retention right there. So let's say I am just putting my gloves away, you know, just for like a quick map check or whatever. And then let's say we took contact, or we moved out quick, or I just forgot to retrieve my gloves and put them back on. So we're moving around. Oh man, my gloves are in here. I left my pocket open. No big deal, man. They're not coming out of there. So that, I think that's a pretty cool feature. So their knee pads, the standard UF Pro knee pads, they do fit, right? So you got the large one, and then you got the small, harder one. So I usually keep them together because if I'm going to use knee pads, I want the full protection. The soft knee pads don't really do much for me, and the hard one by itself doesn't help too much. So I generally keep them together. When I want to use them, shove them down in there, right? And if you're not using the knee pads, just to try to keep the breathability up, they've got this same very light mesh material in there, and just a little bit of extra material in here just so you don't destroy your knee pads. And all right, so the next video is going to be on the combat shirt, which, just like these pants, is the lightest, most breathable, most comfortable freaking combat shirt I've ever worn. So stay tuned for that video, and I'll see you there.